This is a short video about how to make a Jupyter notebook in Sage. So normally what I'm used to is writing like my written work in LaTeX, and then I'll come to CoCalc and I will open up like a Sage worksheet and then do my Sage computations there. And then I've got two files to post my solutions, and maybe I can merge those into one file. It's a little bit cumbersome the way that I do it. And what I'm going to show you is one way to combine all that stuff into one thing. This Jupyter Notebook, what it's going to do, you're going to be able to do the Sage computations in it, and you're going to be able to write like your LaTeX in it as well. And there's just like maybe a teeny tiny bit of HTML that we're going to use at some point. So if we're in CoCalc, I'll show you how to start one of these. So you'll go to New up here, and Jupyter Notebook happens to be the first option that I click here. And I'm going to give this a different name. So like Jupyter Notebook example. And I'll just click Jupyter Notebook here. All right, cool. And it gives me some suggested kernels, and the most recent one is going to use Sage. So we'll do Sage through our computations, but CoCalc has lots of different things. It can just do Julia, or just Python, or just R, or just Sage, and some other ones down here too. But I'm most used to just using Sage to do this. All right, so here's the format of what the Jupyter Notebook looks like. It's a bunch of like this mini terminal where you type in your commands here, and then you can run them. So as far as, here's some options here. You could imagine the plus button, it inserts a new cell. And if you wanted to undo that, let's see, you could use the scissors to undo that. They undo all of them, that's one way. And so let's get started. So I want to think about, I'm going to make my homework assignment say. So right now I have some options. I have code, I have markdown, and I have raw. And what I've found, I'm only going to use code and markdown. So the first one I'm going to click is markdown. And it gives me like an example here. We're going to go over here to where it says edit. If I click edit, that'll allow me to type whatever the heck I want in here. Now when I click markdown, this is a field where it's going to accept like some LaTeX commands. What it's also going to do is accept some HTML commands, and it also just accepts like raw text. And so what I'm going to name this, let's pretend this is my homework. If I want to make something really big, like a header say, use $1 or one hashtag. And then now what I want to do, I want to center it. So this is a little bit of like HTML, just these little caret thingies. So center, and then when you finish it, it automatically gives you the other one. And just in between these two, you type your title. So I'm just going to say homework. Okay, so I'm just going to let that thing be its own cell. And I'm going to add another cell right below it. And what else am I going to do? I'm going to start listing some problems. So I want my problems to show up like with a little bit bigger text as well. And so maybe I'll do $2. I guess I need to, sorry, it's in code mode. So I'll just switch that to markdown. Again, I'll click edit here. There's probably a faster way to do that. I've yet to figure that out. But if I use $2, that'll make the text a little bit smaller. And so what am I going to say? Let's call this problem 1. And then right below that, I'll say this problem has 2 parts. So what you notice is when you use the $, problem 1, it's kind of blue. That's the thing that's going to be a little bit bigger. But then right below that, it's just kind of normal size text. Nothing funny is going on there. So what I found useful is, all right, for like problem 1, I might do most of everything just in this same cell. That's not super important. So let's say I have part A. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to use 3 hashtags. Oops, those are $signs though. I'm going to call this A. And let's say what's problem A. I'm just kind of making this up. So let's say I'm supposed to compute, and now I'm going to put some LaTeX. Let's say I just got done talking about Legendre symbols, so let's do that. So $signs, remember in like LaTeX, you use that to go into math mode. So I'm just going to say left, and then let's say I want to do the Legendre symbol of 3 mod 7. So that would look something like this, just kind of normal LaTeX there. So I want to do that by hand. And so right below that, with the 3 $signs there, that'll show up a little bit bolded. And if we want, maybe we could put some space between them. I'm just going to leave it. We'll look at what it looks like later when it compiles. But now what I'm going to do is do the computation. So by the quadratic reciprocity theorem, we see, and then now we'll go into math mode. So what I'm going to do is a bunch of computations that actually computes what is the the Legendre symbol of 3 mod 7. So we'll do the double dollar signs. That'll kind of center everything. It'll make it go into like display style mode. And I'm going to do some alignment. So this is all just standard LaTeX stuff right now. So begin align. And what am I going to do? I'm going to really probably should have just copy pasted the Legendre symbol I'm supposed to compute, 3 mod 7. And so some more, again, if you're familiar with LaTeX, this is all pretty standard stuff for how you do alignments. So I'm going to align it at the equal sign, and I'm going to do, what's quadratic reciprocity say? I should be able to look at the Legendre symbol of 7 mod 3, as long as I put the right power of -1 in front. And so the right power of -1, recall, should be 3 minus 1 over 2, C dot, puts a little times between them, 7 minus 1 over 2. So that's my exponent, and then again, like we have left fraction, I should be able to flip it. So 7/3 right fraction. If I want to go to the new line, I just do, double, I guess that's a backslash, and then I'll click enter, and then I'll put and equals, and that'll align it underneath the other ampersand above. So again, the ampersands are like the alignment keys here. And if we look at that power of -1, I think that's -1 to the third if you simplify that. So I just keep a minus sign here. And then now if I look at the Legendre symbol of 7 mod 3, 7 is equivalent to 1 mod 3. So I'll just write that in, frac 1, 3, right? And 1, is that a perfect square mod 3? Yeah, it is. So the Legendre symbol there would be 1, but you've got that minus sign out front. So I'll just say and equals 1. I'm ready to end my computation. So the answer is -1. So did I keep that minus sign in front? No, I didn't. I need to fix that. Boom, -1. So end the align environment. We're done with that. And we're done with our math mode too. Maybe, we're getting used to writing stuff with like complete sentences. That's probably good to do. Put a period at the end there, since that's the end of that sentence. And so what does that say? The Legendre symbol is -1. Remember, thus that means that 3 is not a perfect square mod 7. 3 is not a perfect square mod 7. Cool, so I finished that problem set. Now let's think about part B. And so what would part B look like? Let's put that here. So part B, again, just making this up. Let's say I want to do something like use Sage. So what I tried to just do is just demonstrate. You could just do LaTeX, just like you're used to. And are there any real differences? Not really. There are some environments that you can, some LaTeX environments that maybe don't play as nicely with the markdown mode, but maybe they're not commonly used with how you do homework anyway, who knows. So part B, what I'm going to try to show you is like, how can I do some Sage stuff, just all in the same document? And then we'll compile it and see what it looks like. So let's say I want to do something like list all of the quadratic residues, mod P, I'll make that a math P, mod P, for primes 3 less than or equal to P less than or equal to 30, say. All right, so that's my next thing that I'm tasking myself with trying to do. And so how am I going to do that? So I'm going to do this with some Sage. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a new cell. So I'll do plus, it'll take me to a new cell. Its default is to put it into code mode, and that's what I want because I'm going to do some Sage kind of stuff here. And so, all right, so in order to do this, let's think. So I would probably do some kind of for loop, say. So for P and primes 3 through 30. So Sage has that built in. Really, that goes up to 29, but I know 29 is the last prime up to 30. So for P in there, so here's what we'll do. So I think about this as I'm going to make some kind of empty list. So I'll call it Q underscore res underscore P, and I'll say that's empty. And so I'm going to make my group of integers mod P, but I only want the non-zero ones. So one way you might be able to do that. So how about A for A in integers P, if A not equal to 0, so exclamation point equals 0. And what do I want to do? So I want to cycle through those, and I want to know if it's a quadratic residue or not. I just want to know, is this Legendre symbol for A mod P equal to 1 or not? And so how about for A and G? We'll cycle through all these A's and G. If Legendre symbol of A, P equals 1, I want to add that to my list. I want to add that to Q res P. So how do you do that? Q res P I'll say dot append a. So it's some kind of list feature. Append is some kind of thing you can do to lists. And let's see, I want to do that for all the a's that are in G, and I want to make such a G for every prime P. So I'm just going to back myself out of my for loop and underneath this for here, and I want to print these out. So print, and the way I want to organize this maybe is P equals, comma, P, comma, comma, P, comma, I want to actually print a comma too. So like the commas that aren't in the quotes don't get printed. So I do want it to print a comma though. And then next to them, I want to print what are the quadratic residues. And that's where I wanted to print each of the lists that I made. So this equals, I'll say space equals, okay, space equals, comma, and then what did I call these? I called them Q res P. Let's get rid of that. Q res P. And I think that is all that I want. So let's see, does that do anything? Hey, it does, and it ran it. So all I had to do is I held shift and I pushed enter, and then it just ran that code. And I don't want another cell, so that like finishes my problem, say. And so I will just press again, this little scissor button. That'll cut that cell that I'm currently in. I'll do that. All right, so we're done. And let's say that, all right, I'm cool, I'm done with my homework. So how do I see what this looks like? You know, because I mean, right now, sure, it looks kind of cool. Maybe I don't want to turn that into my professor or whatever. Maybe I don't want to show this as my solutions to my students. So what I am looking for is around here, I see this button print. So let's click it. And it says it's thinking. And what it's going to do is it's going to convert all the stuff you just did into an HTML document. And maybe it takes a few seconds, who knows. But when it's done, it's ready. And so we'll click this link right here. It'll open that link in a new page. Let's check it out and cross our fingers that I didn't make any mistakes and it looks nice. Cool. And it does. It looks okay. And so like, what do you notice? How did all this stuff compile? There is your header, it's centered, right? Here's problem one, it really stands out. Below it, you know, you could mess with this if you want this to be bigger, or bolded, or whatever. You can look up some of the markdown notation. Maybe I'll put that, I'll put a link to some good walkthroughs as far as what are the different things you can do as far as like italics, bold, sizes, all that good stuff. But like look at how the LaTeX combined, right? How the LaTeX compiled, where the align mode, right? It worked just like it should. It looks pretty good. Same thing here, mod P, that stuff looks pretty good. And then as far as your Sage code, man, like this was pretty convenient. So maybe there's a little bit of a learning curve, and it's kind of a combination of a few different things. But if you're already comfortable with LaTeX and you feel okay about Sage, it's really not too much work to try it this way if you want to try to get into it. So it'd probably be most convenient to like, you know, post this as like a PDF. So if you're on a Windows machine, you could like convert that to a PDF with Adobe. Or if you're like me, you're on this Mac. I think what I could do, Safari should have this built in. If I just go up to File, they should just have Export to PDF. And I'm just going to put it on my desktop and see what it looks like. And so if I'm here, I see that it just popped up on my desktop, and I open it, and boom, there's my PDF that I could submit to my professor who insists on having PDFs turned in.